What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And if you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. You'll get 15 years of bad luck. Yeah, that's right, guys. If you don't press the like button, bad luck immediately sets in, and it'll start with your grandma texting your crush and dating them in front of you. No, grandma, he's just a boy, but she doesn't care. She doesn't have much time left, and prison doesn't scare her. Real talk though, guys, today I've got a story about a crazy neighbor, which obviously, you know, is the types of stories that you guys love the most. You guys eat these up like a delicious soup that you would get in at Olive Garden, you know, unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks. It's that level of good soup that you guys eat up. And regardless, as you can tell, it'll be a pretty long video about a crazy neighbor, so without much more yakking, let's get right into it. 3, 2, 1, let's go. So when I was a wee little lad, I had a best friend. Yeah, that's right. When I was a child, shockingly, I wasn't constantly talking to my imaginary friend. I had a real best friend, and his name for the story is gonna be, we're gonna name him Jimothy. And Jimothy was a pretty cool dude, and we would alternate weekends. Like, one weekend he would stay at my house, the next weekend I would stay at his house, because we were best friends, and we were pretty much inseparable. And at the time, we were like, I don't know, 8, 9 years old. It's not something super recent. This was almost 12 years ago now. Wow, that makes me feel like a boomer. And his house was pretty sick. He had a pool in the backyard, he had a big backyard, and next to the pool there was this like really nice grill with some couches. He had a really nice backyard for entertaining and doing stuff. And I was there basically every other weekend, like I said, so I kind of got used to the neighborhood and, you know, the neighbors and the people around because I was just always there. And vice versa, my neighbors knew who he was a little bit just because they were like, oh, there's always just another kid in front of their house, I guess it's their kid. But their neighbor directly next to them was just this pretty normal couple, you know, nothing too crazy about him. It was just your standard married couple, no big deal, or at least at the time it was no big deal. But when I was about 8 or 9 years old, for whatever reason, the neighbors got divorced. I don't really know why for a while. Come to find out, he cheated on his wife with her sister and they got a divorce and he kept the house, which low-key kind of shows the type of guy that was left in the house. You picking up what I'm putting down? The neighbor that was left behind after him and his wife got divorced was a guy who definitely needed to grow up. He was like 45, but as a 9-year-old, I low-key thought he was pretty immature whenever he would interact with, you know, my friend's dad or my friend's mom. He always tried to hit on my friend's mom, which was super awkward to be present for. And overall just became like a pretty bad person. But regardless, you know, my best friend's parents, being the good people that they are, were trying to be patient with them. They were trying their best to support him, and they were trying logically to explain how weird he was being by being like, look, he just got a divorce. He's probably going through a lot. People act irrationally when their emotions are getting tested. I mean, hitting on your neighbor that has a young child and is pretty obviously married is a pretty irrational thing to do, but sometimes good people try their best. Like, my friend's parents really were trying to be nice. It's just sometimes niceness goes too far, and it's okay to tell the dude that cheated on his wife with his sister that you don't really want him talking to your wife, or if he is going to talk to your wife, not hit on her. Like, I feel like that's a pretty okay boundary to set, nobody's going to be mad about. But hey, I was 9, I didn't know a ton. And regardless, they had told him if they ever needed anything, he could always ask, and for the most part, he didn't ask for anything. But one weekend, I was staying at his house, and we had this soccer game, because we were on the same soccer team when we were like 8 years old, and our game started at, you know, 7 p.m., so we play until 8, and it was across town, and we went to eat after, so we're coming back to his house at about 10 p.m. All the necessary backstory is out of the way, don't worry. And little 9-year-old you isn't super aware of the world around you. You weren't like, it looks like this tree has simply changed shape in the last 6 days. But you're kind of cognizant of very obvious changes. And what is usually a very quiet neighborhood road that leads up to my friend's house is full of cars and people, and I hear a very loud thumping sound that sounds like somebody is, you know, smacking a bass drum over and over again with God's massive forearm. And as we're driving further down the road, my friend's mom is like, oh my gosh, I think our neighbor's throwing a party. And sure enough, the garage is open, and there's probably like 50 people in this garage, very obviously smacking the the substance that makes you lose your common sense. They're smacking the booze, they're drinking, and it's pretty obviously kind of out of control because people are like stumbling around the yard and the garage, and it definitely looks like a pretty massive party. And so they're kind of slowly crawling down the road and cars are everywhere. And sure enough, we get to my friend's house, and people that are at the party at the neighbor's house have parked in their driveway, parked in front of the cars in front of the driveway, so my friend's dad doesn't have anywhere to park the car. So annoyingly and pissed off, they like drive us up the road. We have to walk a half a mile back to my friend's house. And as we're walking inside, my friend's mom and dad are like, we'll just deal with it in the morning. Obviously, he's not going to be in the right state of mind to talk about this, but we'll talk about how if he's going to throw a party, the least he can do is make sure we can get inside of our house. And the music is loud, but somehow, some way, you know, my friend's mom and dad are trying to get us to go to bed, and like they're trying to go to bed. And this is only like, what, 9, 10 p.m.? Like, it is not that late. If your party is already this out of control at 10 p.m., the chances are it's gonna get worse. But for whatever reason, my friend's parents try to get us to go to bed, and none of us can sleep, or at least I can't. The music is pounding, and sure enough, after about 30 minutes of like trying to go to sleep, and I was already exhausted from a soccer game, we start hearing the noises get louder, and it sounds like there's music and yelling and like stuff coming from the backyard. And so I look out the window and I'm like, oh, there's people in the backyard. And my friend's parents are like, what do you mean there's people in the backyard? And sure enough, my friend's parents' neighbor, I'm just gonna call him the neighbor, the crazy neighbor has decided to move his party into my friend's backyard. And like I said, my friend's backyard had this awesome pool and a nice like barbecue area where there were plenty of seats and like little couches, and people are making out on the couches and clothing's coming off. It's very bad. It is a situation where very obviously people have consumed way too much alcohol, and like it's getting out of control. So my friend's mom like pulls us away from the window, and low-key I was trying to keep watching. That was what I wanted to do. If people are making out, I mean, listen, hey, you gotta watch somehow. That was a joke, by the way. I was 9. I was kind of like, all right, whatever. So my friend's mom is like, all right, we're gonna go handle this. You guys don't get off the couch, okay? Don't look outside, whatever you do. So they go outside, my friend's mom and his dad, and sure enough, as soon as they leave, I run over to the window, and my friend's right next to me, and we're like peeking out through the blinds at what's going on. And I see my friend's dad walk up to the divorced neighbor and kind of be like, what are you doing in my backyard? You know, obviously I'm not a giant fan of you throwing a party at your house and then bringing the party to my house. That's not how parties work. Imagine if that's how it worked. You go to your friend's birthday party, things get out of control, you go home, and they're like, I thought that was a sign, as the entire party pulls up to your place and just starts partying in your living room. No, if you throw a party at your house, it stays at your house. And obviously the guy, in the state he's in, consuming the stuff he's consumed, is not liking to hear that his party needs to get shut down. But my friend's dad is like, get your stuff and get out of my yard. And he's saying it a lot more angrily. He's dropping some expletives in there, you know, he's calling him names. He's saying that his mom was pregnant with him from a man that she never met, you know, that type of stuff. Just calling his mom all sorts of names. The insults that happen when somebody decides to throw a rager in your backyard when you want your son to go to bed after he had a soccer game. I just really want to know what goes through your mind when you're like, okay, my neighbor's got a really nice pool and a dope backyard, so I'm throwing this party at my house. Let's go to their house instead. And the weirdest part of all of this, you might be thinking, well, maybe in his drunken state, the pool made sense. He had a pool too. The neighbors had a pool. There was really no reason to go into my friend's backyard at all. I guess he just wanted to change the scenery. You know, ever since my wife left me, I've been getting crunk in here, but how about we go crunk in that backyard for a change? I guess for whatever reason, this dude was like the white dad equivalent of, you know, fishing rods was just the different backyards that he's partied in. So obviously he's mad and he's like, no, you get out of the backyard, which is a really weird comeback to say to the person who owns the house. Like, hey man, this is my property, get out of my backyard. No, how about you get out of the backyard? Well, nice one, dude. It's my backyard. I'm not leaving. That's not how this works. So at this point, my friend's dad has had enough, and he grabs the divorced neighbor and starts like pulling him out of the yard. And the guy's friends walk up to my friend's dad's and like push him off of him. And the neighbor looks at my friend's dad and is like, you said if I needed anything that you guys would help me, and I'm asking you to let me party in your backyard, which is obviously not what they meant. Your wife left you because you slept with her sister, they were trying to be nice to be neighborly. It's like one of those offers that you really hope people don't take you up on. Like when you ask a stranger, oh, how's your day? I don't actually want to know how your day is, person that I've never met in my entire life, but it's more of a, hey, how you doing? And you say good and we nod our heads. Like the other day I was grocery shopping and this old lady smiled at me and I said, hey, how are you? And she's like, oh, terrible. I just got diagnosed with lymphoma. I'm like, wow. That's terrible. Thank you. Now I was just shopping for Cheetos and now I want to cry because an old lady is sick. Come on. Like, yeah, just say good. We can also just say good. If someone asks how my day is, I don't care how bad it is. I'm just saying good. And my friend's dad, who had already been too nice at this point, like at this point, chop it all off. You punch the dude in the face and then you drag him out. Decides to say, you have 5 minutes to get out of my backyard or I'm calling the cops. And the neighbor is like, well, go ahead and call the cops, and sits down on like one of the chairs there where his buddy's making out with, you know, this girl that looks way too young for him. It low-key looked like he was making out with his daughter. That was the age difference. So you're kind of getting the vibe of the type of dude this guy is. So my friend's mom gets all mom mode and is like, that's it, I'm calling the police. I've had enough. We've tried to be nice. Walks in, calls the police, and explains the situation. And they make her explain it like 2-3 times because the cops are probably like, hold on, what is going on? Your neighbor's throwing a loud party. Yeah, we'll send someone in 5 minutes. And then, yeah, oh, no. They're throwing a party in your backyard when you're home and you asked them to leave and they just refused. You know, like, I'm sure the cops get calls and they're just, oh, someone's doing something so obviously illegal and doesn't care that they're about to get in trouble. Well, that's bizarre. So my friend's mom goes back out there and does like the mom scream, the ultimate scary thing, which is like, I just called the police. You have blah, 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 to move your cars. I'm not kidding around. They're on their way. And that was my best impression at an angry mom, which sounds like I'm making fun of her. I'm not. It was the right thing to do. I'm usually not a snitchy person, but if somebody steals my backyard, then I'm pretty sure I have the rights to call the cops. And all these like drunk adults come running out of the backyard to try to get out of there. And for the amount of cars that were outside and the amount of people that were scrambling, there definitely were people driving under the influence, which is not good. Don't ever do that. So everybody's scrambling to get out of there, and for whatever reason, the neighbor that just got divorced, the crazy person who decided to party in their backyard, is like, I don't even care, I'm not leaving. And his friends are trying to get him to leave, you know, we gotta go. And he's like, no, I'm not leaving. And then the sirens start to be heard. It's been like 5 minutes at this point, and you can kind of hear the sirens. They were right next to the police department. It was probably a half mile up the road, so 5 minutes is pretty fair. Or at least I think that's how it works. I don't really know how police gets set out. I'm not an expert, but in my memory, it's 5 minutes. It might have been more. Who knows? And at that point, it realizes that he's got to get out of here. So drunken neighbor goes rushing out with his friends, and his friend's car happens to be the one that's in the driveway of my friend's parents' house. And like my friend's dad is out there watching, and me and my friend like run past his mom to see what's going on because this is exciting. This is content. Up to this point, I've been watching through the blinds, but now I get to see real drunken people trying to run from the cops. This is what content is. And so he hops in the driver's seat for whatever reason and starts the car, even though he definitely can't drive. And in his rush to get away, slams the gas and drive and crashes into my friend's garage. I can't make this up. And I swear, anyone will verify my friend's garage got hit by a drunk driver that was leaving a party. Like, I swear. And so he crashes into the garage, and the cops, like, come around the corner, almost like a movie on timing. You know when the cops show up at the perfect time, right when the bad guys, like, mess up and get embarrassed? And obviously, they explain the situation, you know, little me and my little friend got told that we were allowed to go to bed because the cops were like, these 9-year-olds probably don't have very good testimony. Well, joke's on you, man. I remember everything. I'm like an elephant or a bull moose. But real talk, he ended up getting one of those things in his cars that prevents him from turning it on without being sober, and he didn't move, which is really surprising. I feel like if after I accidentally threw a party in their backyard and crashed into my neighbor's garage, I would move out of shame, you know, but this guy apparently had no shame whatsoever and continued to be their neighbor. And there is a couple more stories that I have about him just being crazy throughout me and my childhood best friend knowing each other. But obviously, this is the most crazy one just because stealing someone's backyard is quite the crime. On that note, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you pressing the like button and commenting down below. It helps the video do better. And if you've made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment schmooples, and we'll see how many people get to the end. So I don't really know how many that would be. But on that note, guys, turn on those notifications. Subscribe if you're new. If you turn on notifications and you send a screenshot to my Instagram at Scrubby, I shout somebody out every day. Today's notification shout out goes to the very swaggin' Tweetster15. Big thank you for having on those notifications. Like I said, turn them on, send a screenshot to my Instagram, I shout somebody out. Follow me on Twitter at Scrubby_69. Join the Discord. The updated link will be in the pinned comment down below. And on that note, I'll see you guys next time with another video. Don't get anyone pregnant if you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.